everybody, and welcome to the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. Tim Newton and Kelly Kitchell, and as you can tell, a lot of music going on around us. The Kitch, it's Boilermaker football in November on the shores of Lake Michigan. What could be better?
Oh, this is an unbelievable atmosphere here, and I'm just so excited to be here playing football in Wrigley Field. How much better can you get?
Well, let's talk about this Boilermaker team coming in 6-4 right now. An opportunity to finish with an 8-4 record, get a pretty good bowl game somewhere around the holidays. But they got to take care of business starting today against a team they haven't played against very well the last few years.
Yeah, Pat Fitzgerald's kind of had our number here for the last few years, and these are the games that with the Jeff Brom era, you got to win the games you're supposed to, right? I mean, we've knocked off some top 10 teams, top 5 teams, but you got to take care of business on the games that you're supposed to, and it starts today. We got to end the season really well on a high note, then you're riding high into the postseason.
You know, it's a Northwestern team that's very un-Wildcat-like because usually they don't turn the ball over, and they have.
Yep.
Usually they play really solid defense, especially against the run, and they're not.
Yep.
This is senior day for them. This is their last chance to go out on a positive note.
Yeah, it's really kind of weird. In the history, but under Pat Fitzgerald they've been really good, and this is just kind of a weird year. So you're hoping that it doesn't flip today.
Yeah.
You know, you hope that it continues on. And Purdue's going to have to take care of business. I think this is a team, Northwestern, where if you get on them early, they'll fold, and you can't let them hang around the game.
Well, the first quarter is always key in any game. They're 0-6 this year in games where they've trailed after the first quarter. So they're not a good come-from-behind team. But on the flip side, if you let them get a lead and let them dictate things, they're going to make it tough on you.
Well, like I said, they're really well coached. And that's what, when really well coached teams, if they're in it, they're going to have a chance to win a football game. And that's the key. If you can get up early on them and get a lead and make them play behind, like I said, we've seen it at Purdue with teams that have struggled throughout the year, and you get down and they're not playing. This is their bowl game, right? This is for a chance for them to play in a different stadium that's not a Big Ten stadium. This is what they're playing for. This is their bowl game for the year. So you want to just kind of take the fight out of them a little early.
We don't know who the quarterback will be today for the Wildcats. Andrew Marty has been their starter, but he's a fifth-year senior. Now that they're out of bowl contention, they might go back to Ryan Halinsky. Hey, they might go back to Hunter Johnson, who hasn't played since week 3. Yeah. We really don't know, but it's a Wildcat team that has really struggled offensively this year.
And they may do what Purdue did early in the year and play all three of them. You never know. They're trying to find some sort of spark, so you don't know what you're exactly going to see, which can make it a little difficult for Purdue to prepare for. But I got to think that what I like about today is that I think our defense, Purdue's defense, is going to be hungry. I think last week they were a little embarrassed about what happened, and just being scored on, giving up 58 points, and they want to come out here and send a message and say that's not who we are. This is who we are.
We should explain how the field is laid out here at Wrigley Field. This is the home plate area right down below us. So basically the field is running from the third base side out to right field. Now you remember they played back here in about 10 or 11 years ago, and they realized as they set the field up that there wasn't quite enough room on one of the end zones. So they wound up having both teams go offensively the same way. They've actually been able to remove the third base dugouts and move the field back a little bit, and so we are able to get the field in. And so that's why we were able to play this year and have a regular football game with teams going both ways. You will notice something different today, though, that we don't see, and that is both teams will be on the same sideline because there's not room on the first base side to put a team. So you can see the white paint behind us. The purple in the middle runs from 45 to 45. That essentially is the demilitarized zone. That's where everybody's supposed to stay away. And then each team will have from the 45 down to the 5-yard line. The one thing it does make, substitutions are going to be a little bit harder today. And how many times have we seen a coach sprint down to the field? I can see if Jeff Brom tries to sprint down the field, Pat Fitzgerald might break down. We might see a little hip check here.
It might be one of those let's play football type of deals, and those two guys go at it. But yeah, I know that they figured some things out logistically. I haven't been able to talk to the coaches yet. They were just getting here a little while ago, and you can see them on the field now. But I didn't get a chance to talk to them to see how those logistics will go. But it is going to be interesting. I think they're going to have an official back for timeouts around the coach who's farthest away. And then, but substitutions is going to be an issue. They're going to have to allow a little bit more time and not let team go hurry up inside the 5-yard line if they're trying to make substitutions. Because I mean, that's just for both sides. I mean, it's just a disadvantage to have them both on the same sideline.
As a result, Jeff Brom said earlier this week he's probably going to have to get the play calls in a little bit earlier than usual, because you have to, if you substitute offensively, you have to give the defense time to substitute. You don't want to delay a game penalty at an inopportune time today.
Right. It'll be interesting. I mean, that's what, if it's a little different, it's a little different. If you have some penalties, if you have some things, that's what makes this game fun and different, unique to play in a baseball park. And you just roll with it. And that's the thing. I think the team that rolls with it a little bit better will have a better opportunity to go. But yeah, this is it's a unique situation. It's a unique park. It's a historic park. I'm like a kid in a candy store here, man. I grew up, I didn't come to any games as a kid. I've come to a few as an adult, but just being down in the field, never been down there before. I got to go a little bit earlier, and it kind of gives you the chills just being on the field at Wrigley.
Well, speaking of the chills, you can see with a little bit of breath coming out. But right now, the wind chill is about 31, 32 degrees. It is supposed to warm up to about the mid-40s. So actually, the weather's not going to, when we saw a game at Wrigley Field on November 20th, it could be 20 degrees and snowing and blowing sideways. So no rain today, no snow today. The winds are fairly minimal. Yeah. It should be a great day for football. We actually might even see the sun later today.
Yeah, I think the sun's going to peek out. It's going to be beautiful. Like I said, down in the field, there was no wind at all to speak of. You can see the flags flying a little bit, but it's not, not like you've seen here in the Windy City with the wind whipping coming off the lake. So, and it's also going to be interesting if you're kicking a field goal back here, whoever's going this way to the scoreboard, you could kick it out on Sheffield. I mean, you get high enough, it's right. There's no net behind it, so somebody walking down Sheffield's got to be ready for
they're
football.
Out here during baseball games. Maybe they'll get a football today as well. Let's talk about this Boilermaker team. 59-31 last week, a loss to Ohio State. You really have to discount the defensive side because we talked about it last year. We don't want to trigger anybody with this, but I thought it was the best offensive football team I've seen in college football in a long time. I don't think many people are going to stop Ohio State. Purdue's defense, I'll give them a pass for last week.
I'm the same way. I think it is absolutely the best offense when you have 3 receivers that are that explosive and that fast and a running back, when we had 3 guys with angles, good pursuit angles, and he just accelerated past all of them. And Purdue's guys aren't slow, but they're just that fast. Yeah. And so I think that the only way Ohio State will get beat is if, like Oregon did, if somebody can just keep pace and outscore. And then Ohio State would have to make a mistake and turn it over at some point because their offense is just too explosive to stop. And defensively, I think they're okay. Yeah. But offensively, it was a sight to see, especially down there in the field, of how fast they are. I've never seen a team any fast. Even the Auburn game and some of those games, I've never seen a team faster than that Ohio State team.
Now, on the flip side, I thought the Boilermaker offense played well again last week. They put 31 on the board, and it had not been for a couple of inopportune turnovers, probably could have had more. Aiden O'Connell is playing as well as he can play right now.
He's playing as well as anybody in the country right now. I think that game last week probably. You had 2 of the best quarterbacks in the country that are playing right now with C.J. Stroud and Aiden O'Connell. There's not anybody throwing the ball better than those 2 guys around. So it's he is just lights out. He's throwing it at over 74% completion. He's making the right decisions. Last week, and what I liked about it, 2 things. We were able to run the ball, almost 5 yards a carry, so we were able to run the ball, and we didn't give any sacks. Yeah. Ohio State led the nation in sacks coming in, and Purdue didn't give up any sacks. Now, that was a combination of the offensive line doing a good job, plus Jeff Brom calling things, and Aiden O'Connell getting the ball out of his hand quickly. But when you're clicking and rolling and things are open, then that's what you want offensively.
If you're into numbers, here's a number to think about today. In Big Ten play, Purdue is dead last in the conference in rushing. Northwestern is dead last in the conference in rushing defense. Something's got to give today. Last year, Purdue ran for count them, 2 total yards against Northwestern. They've got to have more than that today.
Yeah, and I don't think Purdue is going to see that and say, well, we're just going to become a rushing team today. I think we're still going to do what we do and still have a chance to, to throw the ball all over. But what I think can happen is some runs can pop.
Right.
You're going to see a 5-yard break a tackle and then get another 20, or maybe break one house. And that's what I want. I don't think have we broken a run, a long run for a touchdown?
No.
I didn't think so. And it'd be great to see a run over 40, 50 yards and get home on that. Get home. Do you like that?
I did like it. Slide
That's
right.
That's right. And for them to get all the way down
here all day, by the way, and tip your waiters and waitresses.
Unintended.
Yes. Jackson Anthrop has been really a revelation here in the last month. He's always been a good, solid, dependable pass receiver, but we're finding out he's a pretty shifty running back too.
Oh, I watched that kid in high school all the way through. He's a natural running back. He just didn't have kind of the strength and size to be a Big Ten. He was a little thinner when he came in, and by the time he's a 6th or 7th or 8th year senior, whatever he is now, he's bulky enough and strong enough to take some hits, but he's a guy that gives you that extra burst and gives you that shiftiness in the hole. King DeRue does a great job. He's strong, he's low to the ground, he'll get you a tough yard. Xander Horvath will break tackles and get you tough yards. Jackson Anthrop can make you miss and then get going and get you good yards. So it's kind of a nice little 1-2-3 punch that we got going on in the backfield right now.
It kind of feels like Xander Horvath should have a big day today because it's kind of a cold weather day and you're playing in overcast skies and it's late November and it's a football field and a baseball stadium where the Bears have played for years and years before they had Soldier Field. Seems like Xander Horvath should have a big day today.
Yeah, I mean, he's from this area. He's a region guy. He's from this area. He'll I think he'll feel right at home with this type of weather. And, he's no stranger to lake effect snow, and which we're not. Hopefully, we won't see that today.
No.
But I mean, this is where probably he feels as comfortable as anywhere playing. So it'd be great for him to have a big breakout type of day.
From an injury standpoint, the Boilermakers in pretty good shape today. TJ Sheffield is a game time decision, but that just means we'll see more of Jackson Anthrop. DeMarjay Lewis probably out on the defensive line, so they're going to be a little bit thinner at tackle than they have been. But let's talk about Jalen Graham and George Karlaftis and some of those guys back there that are, again, looking to atone for an off week last week against a Northwestern team that struggled to run and throw the ball this year.
That's why I said earlier, I think that those guys are going to come out, and I remember, Coach Hope used to say, come out with a mat on and just play angry. And I think that you'll see a George Karlaftis, you'll see Jalen Graham, you're going to see Cam Allen, you're going to see those guys play extremely angry because they want to atone for what happened last week. That's not who they want to be. They can't, giving up 58 points and Ohio State scored on darn near every possession. Every possession in the first half, and then most of them in the second half. So they want to come out and kind of get a little groove back to themselves. Get a little confidence and kind of show that their counterpart on offense. Hey, our bad last week. We didn't do our job. We're going to take care of business this week. And I think Jalen Graham's a tone setter for that, and so is George.
Well, you're playing two teams that have been offensively challenged. Northwestern and Indiana have had a hard time scoring, moving the football, so you've got a chance to get back on solid ground and, again, finish with an 8-4 record. Let's take a step back. And at the beginning of the season, I know you're always optimistic and always picking a 12-0 year, but I think a lot of Boilermaker fans were thinking, can we get to the 6-win mark? Can we get back to a bowl? Why has this team all of a sudden gone 6-4 with a chance at 8-4?
I think a lot of it has just come from confidence. I really do, and really confidence on the defensive side. I think that early in the season, defense carried us as the offense was trying to figure out who they were. We didn't know who, we had Jack Plummer started out as our quarterback. He did okay, but it was just kind of, there was nothing special about it, I guess, at that point. And then the offense started figuring out a little bit, and then Iowa, you played 3, and then all of a sudden the offense just starts clicking, and the defense is still there. And I'll tell you, I think that it's just been an evolution of them figuring out who they are as a group, as a team, and just in confidence in themselves and being able to play. And it's funny when you have those, you have that all of a sudden, you start playing faster. Your instincts are better. You start getting in to watch more film when things are going well. You start hitting the weight room a little bit harder, and just things start rolling a little bit better when good things happen, and then more good things happen.
Right.
That's kind of where we are right now.
You know, as great a story as Aiden O'Connell and David Bell on the offense have been, the defense, I think, has been the story of this football season.
Absolutely.
Because this was a defense last year, let's face it, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It's not horrible. It's a strength now. Aggressive style, different coaching staff, but players have bought into that style as well.
Yeah, it is. They have bought in, and I got to give Brad Lambert and Mark Hagan and Ron English and the whole defensive staff a ton of credit, because they've got the guys to buy in, and they've got them. It's not a whole lot of different guys. It's the same guys we had on the field last year, but they're just playing at a different level. And when you have that, it's maturity for one. It's the guys being coachable and being mature enough to know, hey, these guys can help me. I need to listen to these coaches, and then the coaches being really, really good. I mean, I'll tell you, I think we got a great defensive staff. I'll give Jeff Brom a lot of credit for bringing in guys. You know, I don't think he knew Brad really well. I know he didn't know Mark really well, but he took the advice of a lot of people who said these guys can coach and they can help your program, and he did his due diligence and went with some guys, and I'll tell you, they just really turned this thing around, because you're right. That is a strength of the Purdue football right now. And when we've been really good, we've had really good defenses.
Yes.
I mean, you look back to 05 and the early
03 and 04, everybody remembers Kyle Orton, but almost every guy in that defense wound up playing in the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, even Rose Bowl year, all those guys played in the NFL. I mean, it was that when we're good, you can't win games just on one side. You can't win games just with a good offense. So you've got to have that thing come. And when you have a great defense, especially when you're playing up north and it gets cold and things start happening, that's when the defense can really shine.
Here's a profound statement. To have a great season, your great players have to play great.
Yes.
We've talked a little bit about Aiden O'Connell and David Bell. Now, George Karlaftis hasn't put up eye-popping stats this year, but if you watch every game, you see how many blockers he takes up. You see the pressure he puts on. I'd say he's helped his stock a lot here in his junior season.
He's a big time talent. It's just amazing. He just keeps getting better and better. And you're right. He's fighting through 3 and 4 guys hanging on to him, dragging him, and he just keeps coming. And his motor is I think what impresses a lot of NFL guys, and you know, also the staff here, and his work ethic off the field. And he's just really doing a great job of just, you know, building each year. So he came as a freshman. He put up some great things. He had a tough sophomore year, but he was injured and some things. But he kept at it, and he's building and building. And you're right. When teams have to completely change their blocking scheme and everything around one guy, that leaves other guys open and can fly around and make plays.
We're about 15 minutes away from our start time on the radio network, so we'll hang with you another 5 or 10 minutes. You talked about Jalen Graham earlier, and Jalen Graham is a guy I think that's finally found his position. Came here as a safety, really had a hard time finding his niche, but he is a natural at that linebacker spot. He
is. They've moved him around a little bit in the past. I think he's found a home now, and they had him at safety. They weren't quite sure. I mean, he's just such a physical specimen. He's just a large, strong, fast human being, and he's really found a home for, you know, what his skills. And I know the coaches and Jeff Brom has said when the NFL guys come in, he's one of the first guys they ask about. You know, it's hey, tell me about Jalen Graham. You know, because they love his physical attributes and how he's playing football. And, you know, we saw him earlier in the season take Michael Mayer completely out of the game, one of the best tight ends in the country at Notre Dame, and took him completely. I don't think he
he had one catch, I think, and then Jake Ferguson at Wisconsin had a very poor day against Jalen.
Right, and so he's strong enough, physical enough to take on those tight ends. He's fast enough to run with, you know, those guys and slot receivers, and you know, he's physical enough to make a play in the hole as well against the run. So he's kind of got the whole package. He's got an NFL career ahead of him, and he's been a lot of fun to watch, because you talk about a guy that you knew was just coming out of high school. You're like, gosh, this guy's got to help, and then it just didn't come, and all of a sudden, boom, it clicks, and now you see everything, all the potential has come out this year.
You know, we haven't talked about special teams, and we hope that that's not a negative today, because it was a negative last week. Jack Ansel has had a roller coaster season. He did not kick well last week. Apparently, from what I understand, he is going to be the punter at least to start today, but we'll see after that first. Well, hopefully we don't see a punt.
Yeah,
we don't have to worry about it. But I think if special teams is even neutral today, it's a positive. Northwestern has had a history over the years of trick plays on special teams. You just can't give up a big play today on that unit.
Yeah, you don't want him to get one blocked. You know, Ansel's just when he just sets up and kicks it, I mean, and we watch him warm ups, and he's just kicking the crap out of the ball. But whatever happens when he starts running and getting the games, and we saw he had a 16-yard punt, which really hurt Purdue, because we were rolling a little bit, and then a 16-yard punt and gave the ball at midfield, and then they went down and scored, and they took a couple score lead, but you know, when it was like he almost took an extra step. He wasn't quite sure, and so whatever it is, he's struggling with that part of the game. Part of the punting game, and I wish he could just go back there and just kick it as far as he could, because, man, those punts that are less than 20 yards are just, you might as well go for it on fourth if you're going to do that. So, you know, that has been a little bit of a disappointment. We saw another special teams mishap with Jackson Anthem, which you don't see very often. But I will tell you, so that ball was kicked. I was saying it was like right here. If this was Ohio Stadium, right? I was standing right about the 20 down there, and the wind was blowing towards the sideline. As the ball was coming kicked, I was like, that ball's coming out of bounds. I may be able to catch this thing. I was standing there. I was like, I might be able to catch this. And all of a sudden, for whatever reason, there was some wind or whatever, it knocked it straight down. And I think Jackson was really caught off guard on, oh, man, that ball comes straight down on it, because it really looked like it was going to carry out of bounds. And so that probably hindsight, if he looks back at it, he wish he would just have jumped on it and covered it up. But he tried to pick it up. He didn't know how much space is in front of him, and then he got hit right as he got it. So, yeah, 2 special teams mishaps was a real killer in that game. But hopefully they can get that thing corrected and continue on. But, you know, speaking of special, Mitchell Finneran, he was in a funk early. He was terrific early. Hit a funk in the middle, and now he's kind of back on track. He's doing a good job.
Northwestern's punter has a record, and I'm not sure it's a record that you want to have. He was a transfer from Kent State, which has struggled. Northwestern at times has struggled. He's punted for more yards than any punter in college football history. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
It's a great thing for a punter. It's a bad thing for a team.
It means he gets a lot of action. All right, let's talk about a pick to click on each side. Mr. Quinn, by the way, is here. I just saw him come in. We're a little concerned because he was out with his teammates last night. But Pete is here, and he's not going to pick today. So you and I get the choices.
Okay. All right. So here, I think we didn't talk about a little bit on offense is our tight ends. We've got 2 tight ends that are playing injured right now. Jeff said that, you know, they're going to have to get some things repaired at the end of the season, but they're gutting it through right now. So I still think mine on offense is going to be Payne Durham. I think he's gutting it out, and I want to pick him to click, because I think, you know, for a guy to be able to put the team ahead of self on that, and for him to play injured and keep gutting it out, that's why I wanted him to have a great day, just because I respect that, and I think it's a great thing to be a team guy like that. So offensively, I'm going to go with Payne, and then defensively, you know, I want to go with Cam Allen.
Okay.
I think Cam is he leading the Big Ten area? He's got 4.
He's got 4.
Yeah. So he's right up there. I'd like to see him get another interception today, and I think Purdue can put enough pressure. And I like Cam. I think, you know, he's gotten beat behind him a few times. There's been some communication, but I think he's a really, really good football player, and I'd like to see him continue to grow. And so I think he could have a big day, and we'll get pressure on the quarterback, and maybe we can make a mistake, and Cam can come up with a big day.
All right, now it's too easy to pick George Karlaftis and David Bell. I would do that. I would assume Pete would do that if he was here, so I'm not going to do that. I mentioned Xander Horvath. I'm going to stick with him today as my pick to click. I think he might have a big day running and catching the football. Defensively, how about Marvin Grant getting his first career interception today?
There we
go. He's had some fumbles forced, and he's had some tackles for loss, but he hasn't had a pick yet. Today might be the day for him.
We're going safeties today, so
that's right.
Hopefully they're not in the run game a lot, but in the passing game they can make some plays.
Well, again, we'll be on the Boilermaker Sports Network here at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, and we'll be back at Ross-Ade Stadium next week. I understand tickets are, if not completely sold out, very close. So that'll be a 3:30 kickoff next week, and you know, it's been a great season, but it's not a truly great season until you get the piece of wood back next week. So let's take care of business today, and then take care of business next week and go into the bowl season with some momentum. For Kelly Kitchell, I'm Tim Newton. We'll see you next week at Ross-Ade Stadium. Enjoy the game today. Boiler up.
Boiler up.